Hi everyone, Courtney here, and I thought I would give an update on our retirement journey and retiring when you haven't necessarily been on the path to retirement early in life and you're getting a late start. And so, if you watch my past videos, you'll see that my husband and my husband is 62, I'm 49, I'll be 50 in a few months. We had to basically start over. We both got divorced. I was 40 and my husband was 53 when he got divorced. We met shortly thereafter. He had been divorced about a year. I had just gotten divorced. And we dated and stayed together for 7 years before we got married, but we did not live together until we had been together about 5 years. We had 5 kids at home between us. We got those kiddos out. And I'm going to share a little bit of our story and give an update today because I know some of you follow me and hopefully some of these things we're doing will help you. So we got all the kiddos grown and out of the house, and that took until about last year. Our youngest son has a disability, but he is living on his own now, and he is always part of the support, and he is included in our budget, in our income as it stands right now. So when we moved in together about not quite 4 years ago, lived together for about 2 years after all but the youngest got out of the house, after they all graduated from high school and the older kids got their associate degrees, because we did let them live at home if they wanted to while they were getting their associate degrees. We told them they could live at home the first 2 years of college. The programs they were in allowed them to get their associate's degrees at no cost. And because my ex-husband worked at the college and I previously worked at the college, my kids, basically all of their scholarships and funding got paid to go to college, and that helped offset like buying their cars and things like that. So that was a big help. So that's one of the things we did. I also knew that our taxes would go up when we got married, and my health insurance. I was on a very low cost plan as a single mother, and I knew that when we got married I would have to go on his health insurance, and that would be about $500 or $600 a month. And so we decided to get married in spite of that. So around 2000, and let's see, it is 2020 right now. We got married in 2018, and we saved up to build this house. We sold my house. We saved up for the down payment on this house and paid cash as we went for this house, with the exception of a $218,000 loan. I don't mind giving some information. I'm a little weird about giving all information because everything is relative. I will say this: when we started out, we were not making a lot of money. Between us, we were making about $30,000 a year. We have slowly increased that until we're in the low six figures. And what we have done is we haven't increased our style of living. We haven't gotten on the what they call the hedonic treadmill, always upgrading. We still buy used furniture. We still buy used cars. We do occasionally buy something new, but it's very rare. We still try to look at wants over needs, and if we really want something, then we will buy it, but we aren't quick to buy and things like that. We do as much as we can ourselves, but that's not always the case because my husband works so much. At this point, we're both making pretty decent money for what we do. And so sometimes if my husband has a bunch of roofs, my husband's a police officer and we own a roofing company, I help run the roofing company, our Airbnb. And we have, as you can see, we have multiple streams of income. And I work as a certified yoga therapist in a medical clinic 5 days a week. So what we have done is we do pay for someone to clean our house twice a month, and we do pay for someone to manicure the lawn once a month. We keep up with it in between, but because we have an Airbnb, it's important that it get really manicured at least once a month so that it looks nice. So it's not that we don't pay for some things. There are things that we value that we pay for, but there are also things that we don't go out to eat a lot. We don't buy a lot of new clothes. My husband just purchased his first pair of boots in 18 years, and he was fretting over spending $200 on a pair of boots, and I actually encouraged him to do that because if you're going to wear a pair of boots for 18 years, you probably need a good pair of boots. So I want to tell you where we are today. So In the past 2.5 years, by living on about a third of our income, we have paid off, we have no debt. We buy cars for cash. We've just recently bought a new car. We paid $6,000 cash for a 2004 Lexus with 94,000 miles on it. We have paid off $100,000 off of our mortgage since 2018. So 2018, 2019, 2020, 2.5 years. And how we have done that is we live on around $4,000 a month, and then everything else is in savings, and we then take that savings. The only thing that comes out of there, what comes out of our business account, is our taxes. Anything to do with business, like our cell phones and my husband's gas. My gas comes out of our personal, and then we turn around and any profit that we make goes on the house. So we do take an income now from the roofing business, but until now we did not. And let me tell you what changed this year and has shifted for us. So as of this year, we became an S corp, and I don't hang up now when it gets boring, right? But it changed the way that we do things, and we weren't writing ourselves a paycheck before. We were just taking money, writing ourselves a check randomly when we needed it. So we might not write a check for 3 months, and then all of a sudden the propane bill would be due or the taxes would be due, and we would write ourselves a check and pay for it. Well, that's a different kind of accounting, and you can do that when you're a sole proprietor or have an LLC. But we changed to an S corp, and we had to start paying ourselves a certain amount of money, and after taxes, that's around $2,700 a month. And my husband's paycheck is around $1,616 a month. So we're talking around $4,300 a month, give or take. I'm sorry, I'm not doing the math right now, but that is what we live on. Everything that we make beyond that goes to savings and the businesses. So if we have a profit, if we have a really good couple of months, then we turn around and put that whole profit on the mortgage. And I divide it up in 4 areas. So I want to tell you, right now, I am 49 years old. So from 49 to 52, while my husband is 62 to 65, we will keep working all of these businesses. In that time, the plan is to pay off the house. We owe $118,000. We'll have it paid below $100 at the end of this year. To fully fund our IRAs, it's $7,000 a piece. On our HSAs, my husband has one at work we fully fund out of his paycheck. It's a FSA or something like that. On my health savings account, I'm about to fund one for $3,500 a year, and then we're saving cash. Not as much right now, but anything extra, we keep enough money to pay for at least 9 months of living expenses. We could literally get by on a lot less than what we live on, because I'll go back to that in a minute. But we keep 1 year, 9 months to 1 year in the bank of living expenses. And then if we were to buy a car or something like that, we usually are evenly trading. Like if we sell something for $6,000, I'll go find something for $6,000 or $8,000 or $9,000, not too much more than what we sell a car for. And I don't want to get into how we do that, but we look for older, low mileage, well-maintained cars, generally one owner if possible. You have to be very patient. It takes time, but you can find them. So I'm trying to build a runway. When my husband is 65, he will not take Social Security, but he will retire from being a police officer, and he will get a small pension check and go on Medicare. And I will have to find insurance. I think they have a cheaper policy through the police department for me. Now, from 53 to 55, so in 3 years, I will keep working until I'm 55, 5 days a week, and doing everything else we do. My husband will be 65. He will quit the police department. So we'll have the Airbnb, the roofing, and my job. I will fully fund my IRA. I will open a 401k at that time and put money in it. I'll basically save my entire income, or at least 2/3 of my income. I'm trying to get to Coast Fire, where I can just let my money build up and have enough in there when it's time for me to retire. When my husband turns 66.8, at that point, a year and a half later, I will go part-time. So we're talking, My husband has 4.8 years until he goes to, when he takes Social Security. I will then cut back because his Social Security check would be like another $1,400 to $1,800. I'm not sure yet. It depends how much we make over the next 3 years. We will then have an income of about $30,000 a year coming in through him with no debt. We can live on $30,000 a year with no house payment. We have no other debts. And one of the reasons we drive older cars is because they only need liability and they're so much cheaper to insure. So I will cut down to 3 or 4 days a week at the office. And what that will do for me is I will still have enough money to invest in my IRA and to get by without touching my investments. So I plan to go to what we could call work optional by 55. So 5 years and 3 months, I will be work optional, meaning I don't have to work, but I will probably choose to continue to work part-time. I may or may not keep the Airbnb going. My husband will do a little bit of roofing. If he wants to close the roofing business at that time, I'm definitely okay with that. In that way, we will not have any overhead at all except for things like taxes, health insurance, utilities, food, vacation money. And I've already got that down to where right now, because we do drive a lot, we pay for a housekeeper, we pay for someone to do the yard once a month. Those things I figured out during the initial shutdown with the pandemic that our lifestyle cost about $1,500 a month more than what we would need if we didn't work. Our house payment is $1,250 a month without insurance or taxes. So right there, you're talking $1,750 a month. So this is how we're looking at it. When you are older, like for my husband, it doesn't necessarily make sense to put money in an IRA. And I know you're thinking, you just said you're putting money in an IRA. Yes, stay with me. It doesn't really make sense. It makes more sense to pay the house off because the amount of money we would have to save to give him the returns he would need in retirement, and that's using the 4% rule, meaning if you make $40,000 a year, you need $1 million in retirement to get the dividends and percent or interest off of that at 4% to not ever reduce your money to zero. Now that you can look it up, what's the 4% rule? So right now, if I can reduce the money going out, we don't need $40,000. Plus he has Social Security and he has a pension that is $30,000 a year. So see, we don't need as much money to get by. I, being younger, am not completely comfortable with depending on my husband's Social Security and his pension, because if something happened to my husband, I would not be old enough to draw Social Security, or I would not be old enough to draw off my investments before the age of 55. Now, if I left my company, I could, but then I would be taking from my investments too soon and could potentially run out. One thing I want you to know about the FIRE movement, Financial Independence Retire Early, is it's not always about retiring early. For some of us that are older, it's about being able to retire at all or being able to retire comfortably, not having to go into your 70s working, being able to retire by 65 to 67 or full retirement age with Social Security, and being comfortable and not having to struggle to get by, not having mortgage payments and car payments. And there are so many people in that position that are in their 70s, they're having to work, they still have car payments, they still have credit card bills, and things like that. So once you're in the financial independence community, it's very easy to begin to learn these techniques that are going to be moving you ahead. It is always a moving target, financial independence, because things can happen and change. Like, for instance, if my husband said tomorrow, I don't want to take care of this farm anymore. We live on a 40-acre ranch. I don't want to take care of this ranch anymore. I want to downsize. Well, that would substantially move our date up, because we could then sell this place. It's worth over $500,000, and we would have that money we could put in the bank. But he really enjoys this lifestyle. It's fine with me. It's not this is what he wants to do. He doesn't want to go and travel the world. He wants to be here on the ranch with his horses. So, that's kind of the retirement goal, is to be here for him. So there are always moving targets. Something could happen, an inheritance or something like that. I'm not expecting that, and I certainly don't have that in my plan. But things can happen to people that cause the target date to change. So you're always working as if. This is the plan. This is the plan I'm working on to get to where I want to be at such and such a date. And with the knowing that could change depending on your circumstances. So my plan, again, is within the next 3 years, I will be fully funding everything. I could potentially take off and work 4 days a week, 4 half days instead of right now I work 4 half days and 1 full day. I could give up 1 day a week and not go in and not do a full day. I would just go to 4 half days and still probably be fine. But I will probably continue to work until 55. I do make pretty decent money for my job. I work about 28 hours a week and I make about $40,000 a year. And so that allows me to fully fund everything I want to fund. And that way I can retire by the time I'm 55 or just keep working part-time. I hear and I believe that everything feels different when you don't have to work. I love my job, but the having to work feels like a noose. It's just like, okay, I have to get up and do this. I have to do this. And I think it will be different when I don't have to do it. All right. Thank you so much. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please ask below. And I would like to tell you, I will be soon, I'm going to be a guest speaker at an event called Save But First Save 10 for the new book, But First Save 10 by Sarah Catherine Gutierrez. And I may have murdered her last name. I'm always worried I'm saying it wrong. But I will try to share that. It's coming up, But First Save 10 on Facebook. Is geared towards women and young women, but the principles are sound for anybody. So if you want to look that up, that book is amazing. I love it. But First Save 10, it's really easy to read. And the principles in there, no matter your age, will help you get ahead, get on the train to financial independence. So, all right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.